The Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Good morning, class, and welcome to the first episode of the Nerd Academy podcast in the year of 2022. I am your host, Jarod, the Dark Jedi Bachman Subs, your superior web headmaster. And joining me, as always, is your resident Green Lantern Professor, Travis Grossman.
I don't have any cans that have caffeine in them, so I have to drink coffee.
Out of his Nerd Academy branded mug. Buy the merch. And since we are talking our review for a MCU Disney Plus show, whom else would be joining us other than Mitch from the Comic Book Cast?
Hey, I apologize for being tired. It was a rough night, to say the least.
Hey, it's all right, man. I was up until like 5 a.m. playing with my new PlayStation, so we all
been there.
Yeah, I haven't slept either. We discussed my other issues brought on by spicy pickles. But yeah, also I just realized I think this is like a new, like, really funny streak that we pulled off. That is, I want to get the exact number here, of like a really funny number of like consecutive episodes that have been done with Comic Book Cast. Yeah, because this is our fourth episode in a row
Nice.
that we've tag teamed with you guys. But hey, it's the end of the year. There's lots of stuff to talk about with.
No, it's the start of the year.
Well, yeah, that was the end of the year content, I should say. End of the year content. And now we are here to open 2022 with our final thoughts on Hawkeye. But before we jump into that, gotta give you guys a brief word from our lovely sponsors over at sundaysbloodymary.com. You guys know I'm a Bloody Mary guy. I love me my bloodies. I was actually telling my some of my family and some of my regulars at the bar about Sunday's Bloody Mary. I love myself the spicy Caesar mix. I think it is quite good. I've been using it a lot. I actually killed some over Christmas break. So I got to get myself another jar. This time I actually think I am going to go all in on this subscription box, which for the value is actually quite good after looking into it more, especially when you use the code TNAP, TNAP, checkout, get you 10% off, and helps out your favorite nerds. Got all manner of Bloody Mary accoutrement. You got the pickle garnishes, the spicy, mild, and vegan mixes, rim salt, everything your heart could desire in the realm of Bloody Marys. Sundaysbloodymary.com/shop. Code TNAP at checkout. All right, Travis.
Me.
Overall thoughts on this first season of Hawkeye.
There was a Hawkeye show?
Oh, cool. This bit's back.
Yeah. Very much enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Did not. It's not that I didn't expect to enjoy it. I've hit this point with these Disney Plus shows. If they don't immediately excite me, as most of them don't, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but I'm just like, oh yeah, that'll be good. Like, I'm not interested right away, but when it comes out, like Book of Boba Fett, I wasn't like, gas pedal to the floor ready for Book of Boba Fett. I watched the first episode and I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I'm excited. That's how I felt about this show.
Yeah.
Like, it started and I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. Can't complain. Having a fun time. I have it still written on the board, but it's over there and I'm lazy. But it was good.
Oh, that's good. All right, Mitch. Like at on the jump, like first thoughts on Hawkeye.
It's a Hawkeye show,
It is.
starring Hawkeye. Now I'm in the same boat as Travis. They announced it. It's like, cool, a Hawkeye show. Yay! That will. I'm sure they'll do something good with that. That'll be like bottom of the pile for the hype. Not quite bottom. That was Loki for me, but it's in that area. But no, as it went on, Haley Steinfeld did what I think everyone expected her to do and absolutely crushed that role. But yeah, all in all, I really enjoyed it. Fun, right?
Yeah, I at first didn't know what to expect from this show. I again did the thing that Travis and I have just kind of started doing where maybe we're good for a trailer or two and then completely tune everything out. And
I never even watched the Book of Boba Fett trailers.
They had trailers for Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, right.
Surprisingly,
They
after
actually
what
nothing.
I having seen the Book of Boba Fett trailers, I think it's actually quite funny that they actually pulled off what every Disney Plus show claims they did, where all of the trailers is from the first episode. I think there
Mandalorian
might
did
be
that
like,
too.
huh?
Mandalorian did that too.
They kept it condensed to like the first half of this season.
Yeah.
And then upon watching the second season, you can still be like, okay, I know this shot is from way later. But I think like 99% of the trailer for Book of Boba Fett is in the pilot, which I was like, good on you guys for pulling that one off. But no, I didn't know what to expect. I was, I obviously just from the art style when they announced it, it looked like it was going to be very Fraction Aha inspired. Turns out it was, a pretty much a straight up MCU adaptation. I think this might be the most, as somebody who hasn't like directly read the Fraction Aha run of Hawkeye, but has, like kept up with the reviews of it at the time and is familiar with it. I think this might be the most direct adaptation we've gotten in the MCU of a story. Like off the top of my head, like Age of Ultron is Age of Ultron in name only. Like the Infinity Gauntlet story is not what we're getting in Infinity War and stuff like that. So I think that was pretty neat that they actually like went for a full-on run as opposed to just like taking the name of something.
I think maybe the Doctor Strange origin, like his one and only movie currently, might be.
That's fair.
But outside of that, I can't think of anything that might be this close.
And this is the I almost said brightest, as in like perfect and greatest. This is like the best place to do it as a Disney Plus show because you have the time to actually take comic book beats.
Yeah. Plus some stuff from the 90s one of the 90s Daredevil runs where they like completely like shot for shot recreate a scene, which I think was pretty cool. That kind of thing's just awesome every time they do it. Like if you recreate a panel, it could be like the show or movie could be terrible. If you recreate a comic book panel, you probably bumped yourself up a letter grade for me. Like just because it's so cool to get that freeze frame.
Yeah, and then within like a couple of years of your thing coming out, even if it was bad, then you'll get the posts that are like, say what you will about blank, it has its problems, but this scene was the best. Not from you specifically, just the internet.
Me at BVS. But no, I wasn't. Whenever a Hawkeye show was like brought up, I was like, are they really gonna do like a street level thing with Hawkeye? Okay, I'll take it. And here we are with like a street level show about both of the Hawkeyes, and I quite enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. I think that because we didn't actually get to do a review of the finale or the penultimate episode, I don't think. Just because end of the because Spider-Man and other end of the year stuff, Christmas things get a little chaotic. Um, you know, might be my least favorite finale of the Disney Plus shows. I think that, and we had this conversation, or no, we did do the next to last episode, I think. I don't remember. But I think that the biggest weakness the show had overall, and this can maybe be our big jumping off point into talking about the show as a whole, is I think the decision to have Kingpin be a big reveal instead of the overarching villain of the series came to the show's detriment. And that I think the story could have had a bit more I think the structure of the show would have worked a bit better if we knew who our big bad was and we were periodically checking in with said big bad.
So like if we had done more with Kingpin.
Yeah. And not in the in the way I was making fun of a couple weeks ago where the show's called Hawkeye, not Kingpin. Not just because I want more Kingpin. I think that way you get to understand what the stakes are, why does Kingpin need Eleanor to frame Jack for killing Armand? Why did Armand have to die? Why are we going what is the deal with the watch? Why is this being coveted? I think that there's a lot of cool, or not necessarily just cool, but I think that you can flesh out the threat a lot more if we are aware that Kingpin is a part of the show, and letting D'Onofrio be in all 6 episodes. And again, use him sparingly. Maybe he's not in all 6. Maybe we see that he was at the auction. I think that keeping him secret wasn't quite the way to go. Keeping him secret up until the end, trying to do an He Who Remains with Kingpin, didn't quite work here for me. He's great, and every time I've said I wish they did more with Kingpin, it's not coming from I think he should have been the entire finale, nor do I think he's dead.
No, he wouldn't keep talking about being in stuff if he was dead.
Yeah, well, and again,
they would have shown him die if he was dead. No.
Yeah,
exactly. And again, that what I was talking about earlier with recreating stuff frame for frame, that's the scene from the one Daredevil comic. The dialogue is identical. It doesn't end in him dying; it ends in him being blinded temporarily. Which I'm sure will be an interesting development for whenever Daredevil rolls around. But yeah, I think that's my biggest critique of the show. Is I think if it had a central antagonist and we were, if we had both the Hawkeye train and the Kingpin train on the same track, slowly flying towards each other, that there would have been a lot more of a sense of the stakes and of what is on the line here. And I think that the viewer throughout, even though, and again, I think the show does a great job of showing Kate as being very capable, but clearly without, the experience of her counterpart.
Yeah, capable in that she has abilities, but untrained in the sense that she's never actually done the thing before.
Exactly. She's never actually been out in the field.
She's a person with a college degree and no work experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a graphic design intern. She thinks she can do
it. But yeah, I think the show does a great job of doing that with Kate. And I think that you could probably take the sense of Kate being out of her depth in a good way, we are having fun as the audience watching her grow and being worried for this character we like, by making it clear from the jump, especially for the audience who is familiar with the Netflix stuff, having it be, not only is she out of her depth and Clint needs to get through to her that this shit ain't a joke, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that, like, you're good, kid, but you also haven't done this before. And that the guy who fought Thanos is also kind of shaking in his boots over Kingpin. That there's like a sense of, oh, like Kate's in some deep shit, and the shit's getting deeper the more and more time I think we would have spent with Kingpin. But again, I think stretching out his appearance over the course of the show, I think that's my biggest complaint. Other than that, I have very high praise. So using the usual format, Mitch,
Well,
favorite episode. Oops, sorry.
I was going to add to your point about Kingpin. Do you think they didn't do that? Because at this point, we're seeing a trend that we didn't get to see a lot of during the pandemic because pandemic, but where they're using these Disney Plus releases to prime viewers for an upcoming Marvel movie. I think that was intentional.
Possibly. I'm not sure. I mean, insofar as I know they're like priming us for Kingpin to become a big player on the board. And
No, I mean, like, the week he's revealed is the same week Spider-Man comes out.
oh yeah, that was absolutely intentional so that you get the
Yeah,
1-2
yeah.
punch of Fisk and then Matt. That was absolutely the case. There's no question that they didn't.
And I think that's a big reason, like, personally, and I'm sure there's multiple things of evidence against this, but I
think the
would
biggest
bet
evidence
there
you
was a
could.
thing for that.
I don't think they did the first 2 episodes on the same day without that being the explicit intention that you don't finish the show before like it would. The final episode would air Christmas week.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they sacrificed ending the show pretty much on Christmas to make sure that the same week Vincent D'Onofrio's Wilson Fisk returns is the same, like within the same 48 hours. Matt Murdock is a very good lawyer. So I agree with you completely. There's not a shadow of doubt in my brain. I think Sean even said that.
yeah.
When I was on for the
I mean, there's
CBC.
two very distinct shows that Kingpin would lend himself to coming up.
Yeah.
And the only reason I say this is a trend now is because we saw it with Star Wars too. You know,
Yeah.
the week for Skywalkers. What am I doing this morning? The week Rise of Skywalker came out. We saw Baby Yoda Force Heal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same,
Good point. Yeah.
Same deal.
I remember back then. I was like, this is not an accident. This was not an accident.
Absolutely.
Like, I remember that was the big talking point that we all had going in. I'm like, someone's going to get force healed in this movie. I was like, there's no way in hell they threw that force power in at random. I was like, force heal is going to be up and down this movie. And oh boy, was that right.
Well, you
I
pitched
am
Mitch. I'm
looking.
gonna go get another cup of coffee. So
Okay.
right back.
Cool. While you do that, I also just want to say, well, looking at the Disney Plus Hawkeye layout, for the record, guys, Travis does have pants on. Those are very colorful shorts. He wears his shorts like I wear mine. There's a waistband like that, and then when he got really far away, I was like, it looks like Travis is just kind of, all natural there for a second. The thumbnail for episode 2 looks really cool on Disney Plus. Mitch, what was your favorite episode of Hawkeye?
Oh, my favorite one. I'm not entirely sure. It's kind of hard because this felt more like a movie to me than anything else they've done.
It certainly does. It certainly does.
Like the way they cut the episodes up. Like the one that always sticks out for me is the where it ends with Kate and Clint in her mum's apartment, and Jack's just there with the sword.
Yeah.
Like that's literally a scene transition in the movie. That's not a cliffhanger for a TV show. No, it felt like it was supposed to not stop there and just carry on. But so yeah, I'm not favorite episode. I honestly couldn't pick one. It's all just kind of merged into one for me at this point.
That's fair. I agree with you. This does feel the most movie like of the Disney Plus shows. Like this one does absolutely feel like, you know, with some slight restructuring. Like and not to beat the Wilson Fisk horse here. I think if you do what I was saying and kind of like pepper Fisk back through and then you start trimming this, it turns into a movie. I don't think you could do this as a movie without having Fisk throughout.
I think you can get away with that. I think a couple of weeks ago, I probably would agree with you there, but the more like further on I get from this show, it's like, is Fisk even an antagonist for this series, or is he just an
That's
obstacle they run into at the end? Like
That's fair.
The stakes is all: is he going to get home for Christmas after not being with them for 6 years or whatever? It is.
Yeah, which is really sweet, and I think we're going to talk about that more here. But yeah, no, I understand that. I think I'll talk about what my favorite episode is here in a bit, but I do think the show has a really good. I think it is paced really well. All things considered, I do think it succeeds there. I never really found myself bored with an episode. So I get not really being able to pick a favorite of the bunch. Travis, do you have a favorite episode for this first season of Hawkeye?
No, I'm kind of with Mitch. I really don't know at all. Like, it feels like a 6-hour movie, and I don't know that any one episode had me going like, that was the one. Oh, that was the one. You know, it was just a very. Why are these? My like cord things are wet. I have no idea how that happened, but
Coffee sweats.
I guess. But yeah, I just don't. I can't think of one, and you know, like to the show's credit, it's just a very smooth show. Like it feels like you're reading issues of a comic book.
I think that's true. Yeah,
there were
there's truth to that.
There were moments they've been getting really good at that, like having comic book moments or like side panels in movies. There was a couple in Spider-Man that I liked a lot that I didn't talk about during the review, but I was thinking about, and like I remember watching the movie and thinking, if this is a comic book, they would have had their. I'm starting to get much better at realizing, like, oh, they took the mask off because it's a movie and they want to have them act. You know.
Yeah.
But because it's Hawkeye, you don't have to worry about that. So the whole thing just feels like a comic book, and it's great. And yeah, Fisk, like, I think if you want to build Fisk up as the big bad, you could. He feels more like he's there in a comic book when a villain is just tangentially related to the plot. Right?
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty neat. And I like that direction of storytelling they're going. You have the option of doing that with these shows now. Especially because the last 3 felt like events. You know, like WandaVision is just a 6-hour movie that you have to watch in parts to build the suspense. Loki is a big pivot point for the universe. So it's like an event. And Falcon and the Winter Soldier unfortunately got botched in COVID. So it couldn't quite pull it off. But this show is just a couple of heroes working at street level that tangentially get tied up in some stuff with Kingpin, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like that. I like your explanation there. For me, I I really enjoyed the penultimate episode. I really liked Ronan. I think the fight between Maya and Clint is amazing. I liked watching Clint, kind of Batman style pick off the the tracksuits. I think the reveal, not necessarily that of Kingpin, but the reveal of, I only did what I did because your boss gave me the ability to. Like, that reveal in and of itself was great. And even if the episode hadn't ended with the picture of Fisk with I just said her name earlier, now I'm losing it.
Eleanor.
Eleanor, thank you. Of the picture of Fisk with Eleanor. Just the sentence of, like, your boss wanted me to kill your uncle and, like, put the pieces on the board so that I would very naturally show up to start hacking and slashing. It's one of those, like, okay, so it's Kingpin. This is something Fisk would do, is like throw one of his own under the bus in the best way, in the most genius way possible, so that the enemy kills him anyway, but I get away with doing it because the other guy got him, but I set him up. I think that was great. I think Kate and Clint's, their rapport here is really good. You get some great stuff with Yelena. Like, everything that I love about this show is all in episode 5. Like, you get Clint and Kate killing it. You get the best elements of the LARPers here. Like, the LARPers are kind of on fire here, and there's
The
more
LARPers
going
are
on.
Also, like, it's just those elements where it's like, this would not fly in a movie. This would not have time to breathe in a movie, but because it's here, like, you don't expect it to be important.
Yeah.
But in a comic run, this would feel like they would be able to use this in really unique and interesting ways, and that's how the LARPers feel. Like, I'm impressed how well this show adapted the feeling of a comic book to television.
Yeah. So, like, there's just, it just kind of hits all the beats and feels like Hawkeye greatest hits for me in one episode. It's just all right here. I think it is all killer, no filler for all of episode 5. Since, from what you guys said earlier, trying to talk about least favorite episode is going to be kind of a difficult one to pull off.
I can tell you my least favorite element of it.
Okay, hit me.
How they didn't really connect Valentina de Allegra de Fontaine, whatever her name is, I can't remember. Like, the post-credit scene for Hawkeye or Black Widow to the show. Like, that movie, you can go back and watch it, but it doesn't give you a date of when that post-credit scene's set. It doesn't tell you that it's from Kingpin for obvious reasons. And then, like, this show could have done that, and it could have done it quite easily, but it doesn't. So you're kind of left wondering when that post-credit scene takes place, and then why is Val not even connected to this? Why is it Eleanor setting everything up? Like, you're really left to kind of put that together.
Here's how I interpreted that. I think that the scene where Yelena is visiting Natasha's grave and Contessa comes out and, does her whole thing where she's blowing her nose and then gives her the picture or whatever. I think that she's like, okay, here's the guy who killed your sister. Oh shit, it's Clint. And it's like, okay, well, I gotta hunt him down and kill him. And then I think Yelena, like, began planning for her Hawkeye takedown. And then the opportunity to like then the bounty gets placed on his head. Like, I think Val was like, here's who you want. And then a bounty got placed on Clint's head, and it was ripe for the taking, and then she jumped in. Because it feels like Yelena was really putting a lot of planning into taking out Clint. Like, aside, like, obviously, like, it's supposed to be, you know, comic accurate with like the night vision mask and everything, but it feels like the vibe I got was that Yelena had a not completely yet fleshed out plan on how she was going to take out Clint, and was working on one, and then the bounty comes up on his head. She goes, well, now's as good a time as any to go after him. Especially because she's so surprised by who hired her. I think
that's what leads me
more
to
evidence
believe
for
that-
why she went in half-cocked.
See, that's why I think the post-credit scene for Black Widow takes place like early on in Hawkeye.
Mm-hmm.
Because why would she be that surprised? Like having all that, like, and you know, Val even says in the post-credit scene, like, your next target. Obviously, you can just say that that's Val saying, "Oh, this is who you're going to go after anyway." But you can also go, "Well, that's the moment she's been hired for it."
Yeah, you're being
That's
commissioned
true.
now.
Yeah.
I was forgetting that she used the verbiage of your next target. I thought
Mm.
I was only remembering the, like, if you know, this is the man who killed your sister conversation. Which that scene between Clint and Yelena on the Rockefeller ice rink was phenomenal. It was so good. But that, okay, you know, I'll give you that ground. I originally thought it took place way earlier, but yeah, I can see that. I see that. And again, I think that's an issue that kind of gets remedied by not having Kingpin be a secret, that you can just have a moment where you see Kingpin make the call.
Yeah,
you know, like
true.
you can see, like, just show me Kingpin and Eleanor, like, or like keep it a secret that Eleanor had a hand in it.
It makes me wonder if the original plan was, in case they couldn't get D'Onofrio back, which from what I understand is that wasn't ever going to be an issue, was to swap Kingpin with Val, and Val's the antagonist at the end. That's the impression because you can just essentially, apart from the whole trick arrow thing with Kingpin at the end and getting hit by a car and shot in the face, like, you can easily swap Val in for that. It's just a case of changing out the end of the last episode.
The fight is slightly different because I don't think you can put Val through a wall that many times, unless she is a Skrull.
Unless she is something,
which I think, isn't 2022 the year of the Skrulls? Isn't Secret Invasion this year? Isn't that something we need to prepare ourselves for? Skrull Watch 2022.
I don't know if it is this year, actually.
I can't remember. There's so much coming
I think
out.
it started shooting in August. So
I'll look it up.
Maybe the end of this year.
It might be our Christmas show.
Wow, what Christmas present that would be? Merry Christmas. Your favorite's a Skrull.
It says 2022.
Holy shit. Merry Christmas, Rhodey's a Skrull.
See, I imagine that would be like November time this year.
Yeah. But I think I do wish we got Val in here, though, in some capacity. You know, not to like just throw a wish list at the show as criticism. I do very badly want that thread to keep moving. You know, like we have our multiverse thread of, and I'm glad that, like, what we thought was going on is what happened. That, like, so much bullshit has happened to reality that now it is crumbling by the time we see the Doctor Strange trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, Wong is like, yeah, good job. You fixed the one spell you cast. Would you like to address the fact that everything is falling apart?
I don't know, Wong. You're the Sorcerer Supreme. You want to do it?
Oh, also, theory, just because we never got a chance to talk about that trailer, Wong is not surviving that movie, and I don't.
How dare you? Why would you speak that into the existence?
I
Wong
don't
ascends
like.
to godhood in that movie. Don't you dare discredit him like that.
I don't like the potential that Wong is going to be killed off so that Steven can take.
Well, if you
control.
don't like it, then don't speak it.
I don't think I'm speaking
Shush.
it into existence. You know what, Mitch? You know what? I am going to speak into existence. I
It's
think it's
okay.
your girl that's going to kill him too.
I mean, look,
I think
she
you and
is
Lexi are going to feel some kind of way when this movie comes out.
She is, no matter what happens, the protagonist of this movie. Okay, it's Doctor Strange and Wong and everyone else as the antagonists. She just wants her kids, man. Don't take that away.
I get it. I understand. I go to bat for my faves too. I get it.
I mean, I'm dead on the inside, but like, just to throw that out there. You know that meme with the smiley face mask and the crying underneath? Like that is
Every time something regarding Wanda comes up. I will say another thing that I think can't be overlooked here, and I know that again it's one of those fun criticisms to throw at the MCU. Camera work in this is incredible. The fight choreography and the way that it is shot. I am still stuck on the one take car chase, I think in episode 3.
Yes.
I really like the Yelena Kate fight in the finale.
Yeah.
Oh, in the building, yeah.
Just tracking them through the windows. That was really
Yeah.
cool and clever.
And I'd put that above the car chase, just for the fact the car chase to me, it ended too soon in a spot where I don't think it should have ended.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that criticism. I still maintain I think my favorite fight of the whole show is Ronan versus Echo. But I think that there's also something just because Clinton had a sword that made my lizard brain like that the most. Jumping back to something you had brought up earlier, I think the Christmas setting was genius. I think putting the whole concept of togetherness and family at the center of the show was really smart. And I think that making everybody have like warm and fuzzy Christmas, or anybody who like celebrates or appreciates Christmas, putting those feelings at the center and having it release at that time was probably one of the smartest decisions in these shows. And the driving force of will Clint be home for the holidays? You know, you have the sordid family affairs of the Bishop family. You have Echo.
That was my least favorite part of the show.
That was your least favorite part.
Yeah, and I wrote it off. So I was able to write it off in my head to not get not upset. Everything involving the Bishops and co felt really awkward. Like we were missing information or like we didn't understand what was going, at least for me. And I wrote it off as, well, they're rich and they're doing rich people things and I don't understand rich people things. So that's the country bumpkin in me writing off like, oh, they're just being rich people. It's fine.
There came a point where I was so like, okay, when's Jack gonna be bad, that I was so not paying attention to like the things you have a problem with, Travis, and the things that are like, this doesn't make any sense. And also that was another
that I have a problem. I don't even, because it might have been intentional to make it feel that way. At least that's just how I wrote it off in my head, is like, oh, I don't get this because they're rich. And Jack, by the end, both Lexi and I were just sitting there like, man, I just like him. I'm so glad he's not a bad guy. He's just so
my God. I love that shit so much. I loved watching Jack. I laughed a lot when he's just like outside, just in front of the Rockefeller Center with a sword, just murdering gangsters, just like absolutely Princess Bride Errol Flynn style, just kebabbing these guys left and right.
And just the because in the scene of him getting arrested, where he's like, "Don't worry about this, guys. It'll be cleared up in a couple days. Don't worry, no problems here." Like you take that as
A
he's gonna
threat.
a mob pay them threats, whatever, and you're like, no, he's just genuinely like, I have no idea what they're talking about, so clearly this isn't gonna stick. Don't worry about it, guys.
It's like that's another good thing. Like they really do use like film language and our own expectations to be like, oh, Jack is like he's almost again. There's almost a threatening nature in the way he's like, this will all be cleared up soon. And it's like, oh boy, we're like, well, we were in all of us, we're like, oh yeah, so there's gonna be a big climactic sword fight between Kate and Jack. They're like, no, it's Kate and Yelena beating each other up, and Jack is just out front, just running through tracksuits. Which I'm sure that'll have some fun legal ramifications, because Jack racked up a lot of bodies really quick. And you can't use like the 2003 Ninja Turtles excuse of Jack, because they'd be like, oh yeah, Leonardo isn't killing any foot ninja with his swords. He's just slapping them really hard with the metal. Like you just see Jack just cut across the chest, stab, slice your throat. It kills like 4 or 5 people in like a couple seconds, and like, hey, I'm into it. Anybody?
Would they actually be dead? Because someone like Jack, I don't know. It feels like would he do that intent? Especially if he's just got away with being framed.
He definitely killed the one who he saved Kate from.
So I can't remember what he does.
Yeah, I can't either.
I'm pretty sure he just straight up stabs that guy. Like, no question. Just like,
it depends
straight
where.
Through. Yeah.
I
just remember all the gashes through the tracksuits. That's all I remember.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Jack killed a lot of people in that scene, which just makes it funnier
I just don't
to
want
me.
Jack to be a murderer. No, I like Jack too much. So please no.
A mortal wounder maybe, but a murderer no.
Again, not to get into the justifiable force in a superhero story conversation. I think Jack, as just a normal dude who knows how to fight with a sword, I think you kind of get into that, you get a pass because all hell was breaking loose, and your stepdaughter was in mortal danger, and you're trying to help people. And these guys, for the most part, have guns and other lethal weapons. I think Jack probably gets a pass there. I don't encourage the murder, but you're using a sword, so I'll give it a pass.
It's civilized at least. That's something.
Yeah, gentleman's weapon. It's a gentleman's ass beating. But yeah, with the family stuff, I think it's a really cool way to juxtapose everybody and view everybody through the same lens of what are they willing to do for family. And I think that was a really cool thematic decision to make throughout the show. And I think it's also interesting coming back to Jack and him being a one-man army against the tracksuits. I think his I really liked the moment he has with Kate where he's like, no, kid, I just want to keep you safe. I think the show did a really good job of setting us up in one direction. Because the whole time I never thought Eleanor was innocent. I always thought that she and she's engaged to him, but I always thought she and Jack were in bed in the same criminal conspiracy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And at no point did I think Eleanor was trying to use Jack as a pawn. Or at the very least, she got orders from Fisk to sacrifice him. But that was really clever. I was not expecting Eleanor to be 100% of the darkness of that relationship. I was expecting either 50-50 or even less likely. It was all Jack. And again, it's clever because he is an established baddie in the comics. So, this
But
show
then isn't
also
Wasn't
Sorry,
it in
what were you saying?
the Fraction run where Kate's dad does something similar?
yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
one of the, like I haven't read that run, and I really need to, but it says
I believe that's the case because it's flip-flopped.
mm,
Because in the comics, it's Kate's mom who is dead/missing.
yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So I just think that's really clever. I think this show does a really good job with expectation subversion and like doing that in a very slick and clever way. And I think that is something that I don't think it's getting enough praise for, is the way that it's like, we know this guy is a villain in the comics, so we're gonna give him a sword and his giant goofy ass mustache, and still they stopped short of calling him Jacques, and y'all are pussies for that one. His name is Jacques.
So which
Just
is weird because they straight up go like, this bag has Bombshell on it. I'm Bombshell. I'm the Hawkeye villain Bombshell. Like, look at my Bombshell bag. Like, it's
yeah.
should just
Yeah, that was really surprising. That was really jarring. That's the only time it's like, hey, look, comics, in a really aggressive way. In an overly aggressive, not fun way, I should say. But yeah, anybody else have anything else for Hawkeye before we do final thoughts and letter grade?
I wish they were clearer with the watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You and I have been beating the shit out of the watch horse. I wait, like, let them say what it is during the auction. Like at the very beginning of the episode, just say what it is during the auction.
It just feels like they weren't sure if it was supposed to be the focus or not. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, here's this watch. The watch is gone. Hey, we're gonna go get the watch now after 3 episodes. This is kind of like, okay, like, what is the watch? And then everyone figured it out instantly anyway. So
Yeah. Which, sorry to the Agents of Shield crowd. I can't say that I'm.
It can still happen.
Hopeful
It can
for
still
you
happen.
guys. It still could. It still could. Absolutely could. I'm hoping it does.
They never called her Bobby.
I never called her Bobby. You're right. Mitch, your favorite part, final thoughts and letter grade for Hawkeye season 1.
My favorite part is just Kate Bishop and Yelena as a whole. And I'm going to count Yelena there. It's mainly Kate Bishop as a whole. I think Haley Steinfeld came in here and just absolutely left her mark on everything as a whole. And it's nice to actually have a Hawkeye that's been introduced and have character development off the bat. We haven't had to wait 10 years plus for anything like that. Like, you now instantly care about this character. Yeah, I can't wait to see more of her. I absolutely need Black Widow and Hawkeye anything now with those two. Just movie or show, it doesn't matter what it is, just give me more of them.
I agree on that one completely.
It's nice to have Kingpin back. It's nice that they didn't just outright say this is a new Kingpin. It's like, no, he's playing it the same as the other one, or as the one he's. Yeah.
Also, I know I tweeted about it when the episode came out, but I'm going to reiterate it here. Hey, listen, I get it was from the family business story. I don't let Kingpin steal my drip. Don't. He doesn't get to steal my whole look.
Before you.
No.
When did Family Business come out? When did
definitely
that
before I started dressing the way I dress normally.
Well, then
maybe you were subconsciously affected by it.
Yes, yeah.
Thank him for the drip. Don't accuse him of stealing that drip.
Oh, God, I want that shirt so bad. I remember I took one look at it. And I was like, I know this is from the comics, and this is so hard to process seeing D'Onofrio's Fisk wearing it. And then I would get distracted.
D'Onofrio came out here and he's like, yeah, I chose that. I pushed for that outfit.
Yeah, which I loved. That was his decision. Also, someone needs to make the Predator handshake meme. Ned Leeds, Wilson Fisk, big dudes wearing colorful shirts that make me happy. Both Ned and Fisk were dripping that whole week. Ned's long sleeve he's wearing. in the Sanctum in No Way Home. Oh, he looks so good. It's such a great shirt. Anyway, I'm sorry, interrupted.
I'm trying to think of the shirt. I can't remember it now.
It's similar to Fisk's, but it's black and white.
Okay, yeah, I think I remember it now. But letter grade. Oh, you do this to me every time. I hate it.
I know. It's like I think you'd expected it.
I'll say the worst bit is I never like I never learn. I never think, oh, I'm going on this. I should really think of a letter grade for it. You just I do this and bang out my head, and then it gets repressed. I'd give it an A. I think out of all of them, this is one of the better ones. It's definitely up there.
Okay. All right. Cool. Travis, final thoughts on letter grade for Hawkeye.
As a quick question,
Yeah.
this is the first time we are told or shown anything about Hawkeye's hearing aid, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Clarifying that for myself. I couldn't remember because when it first happened, like, it comes up in the first episode, and Lexi asked me, she was like, "Is that a thing we've known about?" And I said, "I don't think so. It's that way in the comics, but I could never remember if they actually pointed it out before."
I believe the fraction Aha run the show is based off of is the beginning of Clint, of them talking about Clinton being canonically deaf. Correct? Okay. So yeah, I also like their explanation that he's like, yeah, I'm next to stuff that blows up a lot.
So I'm just a dude next to loud noises for years.
Yeah. Not that that was a problem for me. I just was curious if I was just blanking on something. Like maybe they showed it once in Thor and I don't remember. Because I constantly forget that's where we first meet Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. I see my problem with giving these shows a letter grade is that they always exceed my expectations because I go in with no expectations.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because I'm like, it'll probably be all right, but it doesn't excite me. And then I watch first couple episodes and I'm like, that was really great. Yeah, I don't. Probably an A-. It has done the best job of feeling like a comic book on screen in live action to me. Like it feels like I watched a comic book run, which is really cool. And I hope people in general, the DC learns from this, Marvel learns from the success of this, that like you made Hawkeye marketable.
And that was part of the show as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You got me excited to watch a show about Hawkeye, a character that, historically I have not really cared about. So, and who at every major point in an Avengers movie I was like, he's gonna die. It's fine. Yeah, I remember when Age of Ultron came out and I saw reviews because I saw Age of Ultron like 2 or 3 weeks after it came out, and just seeing reviews of people going, "Man, Hawkeye really stole the show in this movie," and I'm like, "Oh, he's gonna die." That
was
the bait and switch in the movie, wasn't it? It's just like, hey, here's his family.
Mm-hmm.
We always do this move.
Yeah. Because
not to bring up He Who Must Not Be Named Whedon, but like that's kind of his shtick. Is that it's like, hey, meet all of these people you didn't know that I mean so much to. Goodbye, I'm dead. That's what he does with Doyle and Angel. Like, still not over that. But
yeah, he
still mourning Doyle.
What was I gonna say? Anytime in a review anyone's like, yeah, and this character really stole the show, if that's consistent across the board, they die.
We've shaken that trend though, I think, because this is like a couple times in. Because I remember you and I were both afraid about that with Red Guardian going into Black Widow.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot. See, I only watched Black Widow because of this show. So
yeah, I remember you and Lexi said that. Yeah, but
yeah, we're like Yelena showed up and we both went, I guess we finally have to watch Black Widow, don't we? which was really good. It was an all right movie. I forget who I saw somewhere say like this. It felt like a movie that needed to come out in 2016.
Yeah, that's
Everybody
like the
say that.
consensus
Yeah.
for it.
But yeah, A-. Show was great. Excited for
Cool.
the other ones. I still have zero expectations for anything Marvel does because they will always do it better than I can come up with. So,
Well, I think that's solid. For me, I'm clocking in at like a solid B. I don't think this shows. There's a lot of highs in Hawkeye. For me, the highs don't reach the highs that WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Maybe this show does exceed Falcon and the Winter Soldier for me in terms of enjoyment.
for me,
But
it doesn't exceed it necessarily in terms of plot. It exceeds it in terms of like unity. Like it feels more like a complete
consistent.
thing. Yeah.
I think that's its biggest strength is its consistency, its understanding of its own themes.
It's not trying to be world ending or anything. It's just a
No.
grounded character study and everyone you're seeing.
Coming out, like even to this day, watching movies and TV shows that were made during the middle of the pandemic, a lot of them you can still feel how shaky some of the editing is. Or how like this shot feels awkward because it is awkward because they had to do it. They either had to rush the editing or rush the shot.
Yeah, it's like Betty Brant in No Way Home, where she's clearly not actually there.
Right. There were a couple shots in No Way Home that felt like that way, and this show we're getting on the other end of that, where this show actually feels like it was. It didn't feel like it was rushed in any way. Maybe it had the added thing of not needing a ton of CG for most of the episodes and getting the time that the other shows didn't have. Right? That this show had 2 years versus Falcon and the Winter Soldier having like 6 months. So,
unless you definitely have
they filmed this in the pandemic in 2020. They got affected a little bit by it, but not a lot.
Yeah, and at that point they had the process down. We're like, we know how doing this in we know how doing this in this situation works, and now we're not impeded by, well, what do we do about blank thing,
It also helped, unlike Falcon and Winter Soldier, it's not location hopping. Like this is just New York. Like WandaVision as well, like we're on a closed set, we can work around as a little skeleton crew. Like same with Loki, even though Loki was huge, they had ways around it on the soundstage. Like this is like we're outside, as a majority of it is literally just indoor sets. So like it's
Yeah. Well, Travis, you said exactly what I was thinking, was that I think by the time they did this, they had the formula for pandemic era production down. But yeah, I think that this show really knows what it's trying to do. And I think that, again, the only big issue I have is a big one. And that is that I think that the show suffers from trying to save Kingpin for a big reveal. And I think that the show, if you restructured it for Kingpin to be throughout the show and not trying to hide his presence, I think the show is better for that. But that's a lot of shoulda, woulda, coulda. That's not the show we have. And the one we do have, I like a lot. And I'm glad
do you think the whole Kingpin bit would have worked if it hadn't have leaked that he was in it?
I still think it would have been like, oh, this is so cool, he's here. I think I would feel the same.
Yeah, that's fair.
And there's also the fact that, like, I don't know, maybe there's a part of me that's also thinking it's redundant to keep it a secret when the day the first episode comes out, D'Onofrio, in the most unsubtle fucking way he could, retweeted. That's just him going, I like the way he wrote that tweet sounded like he wrote it as Fisk. He's like, I sure do love these superhero Disney Plus shows. Like, it's like I read it in the fucking Kingpin voice, man. Like, he gave the game away so early, so hard that there's a part of me that's like, just let Fisk be in the whole show.
That's fair enough.
I digress. From now on, everybody read D'Onofrio tweets in Fisk's
I mean, when
voice.
he literally tweets when I was a boy, it's like, yeah, you can't help but read that any other way.
Yeah, well, apparently he was vacationing in Australia for the holidays, and he like put something on Twitter yesterday. He was like, "Goodbye to Australia," and I'm like, why do you sound like a villain all the time, bro? I love it. But yeah, I give Hawkeye a B. I look forward to seeing more from all of these characters. I can't wait to see Kate interact with other heroes, other Avengers. I even see her become an Avenger. Yeah. Hawkeye good. And also I realized the other night hanging out with Travis, Lexi, Levi, and Mike that I have not articulated my opinions on Rogers the Musical well. I like its function in the universe. I don't think I could sit through a production of Rogers the Musical.
Oh, I could.
I can't. I don't think I could. And I think it's
It's
very
the
funny.
right level of cheese.
I think because the cheese is intentional is the only reason I can stand it. Where knowing they like in the writer's room looked and went, we're gonna write this in the most annoying way possible to annoy Clint.
Okay, you just hit it on the head right there for me. The real world, like the people who worked on Hawkeye the TV show,
yes,
wrote it to be that ironically cheesy.
Yeah.
The way people are talking about in universe how much they would like to see Rogers the Musical, where the show is clearly written cheesily, but not intentionally. Like the musical in the show, I don't think I would like. Does that make sense?
it looks like how we all would have expected Spider-Man the musical to be if it hadn't killed like 3 people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, right, it's just the MCU's version of Cats. No one likes Cats, the musical, but it's huge. It will just be around forever. No one understands what Cats is about. It's never going to tell you what it's about, but people go and watch it anyway, and it's massive. It's just there.
I saw such a funny TikTok at the very beginning of Hawkeye, and I wish I saved it, and I wish I could play it right now. I got to get better at that because it's like I think like every Disney Plus TV review, I'm like, there was a really insightful TikTok I saw, but this one person was like, let's say, and now we know that TikTok is real in the MCU because of Spider-Man. Let's say real quick, can we just address the fact that like in the most realistic thing in No Way Home is the fact that within 30 seconds of there being a terror attack by the Green Goblin, there's already people doing like weird like POV cosplays of the Green Goblin.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's a cute fairy. Anyway, that's the funniest thing to me. Absolutely would happen in the real world. But with all the discourse there is around Hamilton as a musical, and like, is it good? Is it bad? Like, why do we even like it? Glorification of the founding fathers, like all of like the like legitimate discourse to be had around Hamilton. How hilarious MCU like the TikTok in the MCU would be watching people try to unpack the existence of Rogers the Musical. Because, like, it wasn't that long ago when Earth got attacked the first time, like it's
what
a
year are they
legitimate,
now?
huh?
What year is the MCU in now? Is it 2025 or 23?
Hawkeye takes place during Christmas of 2024.
So it's 12 years after.
Yeah.
I suppose it's not that long in the grand scheme, is it? No.
In the grand scheme of things, I do think there's a lot of people who are still like desperately trying to process the Battle of New York and like the subsequent traumas that came from that. Like the revisionist history of putting Ant-Man in New York would be a controversy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But you can't disprove it is the funny thing.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
But like it's so funny. Like just its existence, I think, is hysterical. And it does exactly what the writers want it to do. And on that level, Rogers the Musical good. Do I think I like Clint and like canonically in my mind, Yelena, because of the conversation we had with Sean, would just be like, and like I I don't think I could do a full Rogers the Musical. I don't think I could. I don't think I could enjoy pretending this is not written to be kind of bad.
Yeah, I like that. Again, it makes it funnier to me that in the writers' room they went, "Okay, we're Disney. We have immediate access to Lin-Manuel Miranda, and we're using the entire aesthetic of Hamilton to like make this musical a thing. We could either pay Lin-Manuel Miranda to write half, 3/4 of a song that would be palatable for this musical that takes from the aesthetic of Hamilton, or we
We could do a
could
Hamilton style poster.
but make it look like a really cheesy high school production done by Broadway actors, but it'll still look like the joy on my face when I realized it was Adam. First of all, he's aged like wine, but also when it was Adam Pascal in the opening of the end credit scene, I was like, "That's a really iconic voice. Why do I know that voice? Ah, I like Rent."
It's funny. It's funny. It's really funny. And now I'm wondering if I may have liked it more if Miranda had done it and they were rapping, and then I would have absolutely no leg to stand on.
Well, you see, it's doing Avengers 1. It's got to be
Yeah.
cheesy. Miranda does Infinity War and Endgame. The bit more like, it's a bit more serious. It's not that Miranda's serious all the time, but it's a bit more mature in a sense. Because what I want to know is Rogers the Musical his entire like a biography, his entire life, or is it just Avengers 1?
It would have to be his entire life. I don't understand how. Here's another funny thing about Rogers the Musical for me. I can't tell, and it works as both. If I can do this all day, is the opening or closing number of the show?
It's
Yeah.
absolutely the closing number.
But it could also be the opening, because if it's his entire life, then
If we
he says
open
that
with
in
that
the
and
first
go back.
Avenger.
Yeah. I would, or maybe it's the end of Act 1. I would expect that the opening is Captain America, the first Avenger, and we lead our way up to Avengers, and we end at Avengers 1 before we get to, so I dropped a country on itself.
Oh man,
I just want to know
Yeah,
what Yelena thought of it. The second they were
Me
like,
too.
"Oh yeah, she was supposed to be in the audience watching that," it's like, why you could have just green screened her in, like, just how did we not get that?
it's canon as far as I'm concerned. Anything Sean says, I'm like, okay, canon.
seems fair.
As a general rule. But yeah, that's our Hawkeye review. I had a lot of fun with this. I'm looking forward to more of it. Obviously, you guys know this is going to be a big year, especially on Disney Plus. So stay tuned to the Nerd Academy podcast, because we're going to be doing episodes 1 and 2 of Book of Boba Fett review on Knights of the Nerd Republic this week, and Ms. Marvel, Secret Invasion, Moon Knight, She-Hulk, all of that coming out this year. All of it we'll be covering here. We'll be covering Andor, Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Bad Batch Season 2, everything we're going to be getting this year Star Wars-wise on Knights of the Nerd Republic. Keep your eyes here. Watch this space. In the meantime, Mitch, where can the lovely people find you and all that you do, bud?
You can find me on Twitter at the name on the screen, 692 tweets, and you can find me on the Comic Book Cast channel. And I believe I actually looked at the URL. I can't even be sure if I remember properly. I think it's literally just YouTube/Comic Book Cast.
You're right, by the way. You are right. That is a funny thing. Is like I can't remember it in my mind. I'm like 90% sure it's just the name of the channel.
Yeah, I think if you search it, it comes up. All good searches, it'll bring it up. I don't know how I'm at this point where I can't remember a URL for the channel that I'm on, especially if it's that simple. I don't know. But
You guys have a very easily YouTubeable name, though. So
it's true. Yeah.
you could just type in Comic Book Cast and find you guys.
So yeah.
Travis,
Follow my new account because it's empty, please.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was so happy. I was like, oh, Mitch's new account's already following me. I was so happy. Travi, where can the lovely people find you, bro?
They can find me on Twitter and Instagram. What was the thing I complained about? Oh yeah, I wore the hat sideways. On Twitter and Instagram, at Travis Political. Where today I'll probably be yesterday when you see this / listen to this, I'm complaining about work all day because I have to go get in a fight at work. It's gonna be fun, but on the upside, my mom doesn't have COVID.
That's good.
Nice.
Glad Mama Grossman's feeling well. Hope everything's okay at work.
It's not.
Oh man, Travis finna burn this bitch down.
It's funny because I was listening to Mega Corporate Work yesterday. Meanwhile, like my friends had to stay an extra hour to do work that wasn't theirs because overnight thought it's a whole thing. We don't have time for it. I'm gonna go get in a fight. It's fine.
Okay, debrief me at some point.
Yes.
We'll get you a really good lawyer. You guys can find me. I saw this one meme where it was this like cartoon guy just like throwing this cavalcade of bricks. So it's like trying to find out how good my attorney is.
That's my favorite No Way Home meme to come out of there.
I know, me too.
I don't know why. I didn't expect it to become one. Like you can watch Marvel movies and be like, oh yeah, that's gonna be a meme. That's gonna be a meme. This one, I didn't expect.
I'm stunned Norman is on sabbatical. Honey hasn't become a meme in its own right.
I'm surprised at the lack of Norman memes I've seen in general.
Yeah.
I think everyone's so impressed with his performance and so happy that he was back that we're like, we're going to give this some sanctity.
The only one I've seen is just his like psychotic wide-eyed smile from right after. Spoiler, he kills May.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, anyway. Yeah, Dark Jedi 2552 on Twitter and Instagram, playing on my new PlayStation. So goddamn happy. Nerd Academy, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, website, www.nerdacademypodcast.com. Go to our Patreon, give us money.
Give me $1.
Speaking of our patrons, thank you. A new patron, Ray Clausen. Thank you for your donation. But our $10 patrons, we got Nick, Paco. I love you. I'm not trying to do the big ass name that you hit me with during the Spider-Man review.
Read the name.
I can't. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce it, man. It's like
send
your
it
friendly
to
neighbor.
Send it to me and I'll try.
So
Okay.
he's paid
like
money
that.
for this, Jarod. Say the name.
Yeah.
I know. I warned him though. I was like, within reason. Like he did the one where it was just a long string of numbers, and I was like, this is too long. I can't actually make this out.
Then you should Google how to pronounce said word and then go from
You know
there.
what, Mitch? I don't appreciate you taking Paco's side right now.
No, after that Alex Jones gayest frog name, I can't not take his side.
That's
You
true.
won me
Okay,
over right there.
Hold on. We gotta take a minute here.
Also, how did you say Nick's name and not play the screech?
Oh, that's true. That's true. I owe you back. There you go.
Beautiful. I was sitting here anticipating it. Like, it's coming, and it never did. Just
Your
deflated me.
friendly neighborhood Otorhinolaryngologist. I don't think that's right, but that's what we're going with.
That's what we're gonna go with. I just got the goddamn Japanese one down and he changed it.
What was the Japanese one?
It's
It
the
was
Fist of the North Star meme. The Omaiwumu Shinderu. Nani?
Oh, beautiful.
Paco fits right in with us. He's great. He's phenomenal. And then Delta Niner and the Waffle Wizard. We'll have the Versus Series live stream either next week or the week after. The day this releases is when I will drop the brackets publicly. So keep your eyes on this space. Movie Club will be coming back soon. Hopefully Campus Life will be coming back soon. We can get stuff back on our bi-weekly show grind as well. So everybody stay tuned. Thank you all for everybody's support through 2021. Looking forward to going on this adventure of 2022 with everybody. My allergies are starting to act up. I can't breathe out of my face anymore. So thank you all so very much for listening. 2022.
It's gonna be a big nut bust.
Thank you all so much. And class dismissed.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar!